and welcome to this Class 66 Train Sim World free video with me, Richard. If this is the first video you've seen by me, then I am a freight train driver and a former passenger train driver, as well as a father to 4 wonderful children, which is where the Dad Rail name comes from. Without further ado, let's jump in to Train Sim World free and have a look at the Class 66. So here we are in the menu. I've selected the Class 66 and I've also selected the southeastern high speed route, which is the only route you can drive the 66 on in Train Sim World free at the moment. So I'm going to load up 6 Yankee 40 grain aggregates to Harlow Mill. We're going to have dynamic weather 1st of September and light clouds. So we might get a bit of drizzle going on and a little bit of wheel slip. It says drive this loaded J&A freight train from Hoo Junction to Dartford. Let's get started. As always, guys, I am going to put a declaration on the screen. All the views and opinions expressed within this video are solely my own and may not reflect those of any companies I may be employed by or associated with. Also, I am obliged to tell you that Dovetail Games have provided me this game free of charge, but as I just said, all the opinions are my own. If I don't like something, I'll tell you I don't like it. I'll be completely honest and upfront with you about that. Okay, so Class 66 EWS, 1,787.6 tonnes, 19 wagons, and we are 292.6 yards. Let's get started. So what are we doing? Waiting for a moment. So we are 10:37 departure. All trains have a 2-minute setup time now, which is a really nice touch. So it gives us time to actually set the train up properly and still get a right time departure. Then we are 10:37 departure, 10:57 arrival into Dartford. Let's have a quick look on the outside. There we go. Beautiful. I am very much a fan of the new lighting in this game. I'm very much a fan of the new lighting model, the dynamic weather, the sky. I think the immersion in the game now is so much better. And of course we've got new sounds on the Class 66 which we will experience as we go along our journey. So let's get set up in this Class 66. So I do sign the Class 66 in real life and I do sign this particular bit of route. So I've got absolutely no excuses for terrible driving. Those of you who have seen my live streams will know that normally they end up being tea and biscuits with the manager at some point. So let's set our lights. We are day running. We're going to put our key in as well, that might be helpful. Make sure our isolation switch is in the up position, which it is. We're going to put the straight air brake or the direct air brake on full, and then we're going to recharge the automatic brake. So then we need to hold that in the release position. We can see the brake pipe coming up there. And what we want to check at this point as well is just that the airflow indicator, which is this gauge here, starts to fall back down. So if you're not aware of freight train and locomotive haul train operations, the way the brake works is that you need positive air pressure in order to release the brake. So 5 bar of brake pressure in our brake pipe is a full brake release. If we reduce the pressure, the brakes apply. So it's a fail-safe system really. So we are just waiting on a red signal for departure. Having a quick look around the cab. The one thing that disappoints me about this is that we do not have GSMR radio. This route is based in current era and the 66 is still fitted with National Railway Network NRN radio, which is a little bit disappointing. I would like to have seen a GSMR and sort of a redo of the cab. Other than that, the cab is looking pretty good. So I'm getting a little bit of lag there, guys. So for references, I'm running a computer spec wise an RTX 3090. I've got an Intel i9 overclocked to 5 GHz and 32 GB of DDR RAM, and this is running off of an SSD device. I'm currently getting 64 frames per second. The game is in 4K no, it's not, sorry. The game is in 1080 at my end because that's what I'm recording in. And I've got all the settings maxed out. So the other thing I need to do, which I haven't done, is set the train length. So this is pretty accurate. There's a few more options on this in the real thing, but they're not really necessary for the simulator. So we're going to press 1 for train length. We need to enter our train length in feet. So it actually gives you the train length on the... this is where I show how complete noob I am now because I can't remember how to get the overview up. There we go, yeah. 292.6 yards. I want to say 3 yard per foot. I learnt in new money, I'm afraid. So let's round that up to 300. So we'll call it 900 feet. In real life, what you would actually get is you'd have a piece of paper that would give you your train length on it. So we're going to press enter to edit that. We're going to go to 900, enter, and there we go. That is set. So we're still sitting on a red signal at the moment. Just need to wait for that to clear, and we will be on our way. Talking of which, 1 yellow, 2 yellows. We are coming off the Isle of Grain branch now. Hoo Junction ahead of us. Into forward. We're going to give it a little bit of power, probably 2 notches. Just check the ammeter comes up so we know we've got amps and we've got power. And then we're going to take our straight air brakes directly off. Now what we don't want to do is give it too much power until the train is rolling. So we're watching the bogies come down there. That's our actually brake force on the locomotive. The brake force that you're getting on the locomotive may not correspond to what you're getting on the wagons. It's an important piece of information to bear in mind there. So we've got a green. Now she's rolling quite nicely. We're going to give it a little bit more power. I'm just going to jump out the seat quickly, guys, because I'm going to put the safety systems back in. So there we go, AWS. Has it tripped me out? It hasn't tripped me out. I've got away with it. And driver safety device isolated. Let's put that back in as well. These panels look very, very realistic, very typical of what you'd see in the real locomotive. So that's really good. So let's close that up. Okay, so 40 mile an hour until we get across the junction, and then we're actually cleared for. It's giving me a 15 there, actually. $15 sounds a bit more right. 15, I'll go with 15. I do sign this route in real life, I promise. So we're doing 16 there. As we go through the point where that's going to knock our speed off a little bit. The flange is rubbing against the points there. We're on the level. So yeah, hopefully our speed should come off a little bit. That's holding pretty steady. So one of the things, guys, that I really don't like about this route is Hoo Junction. Hoo Junction, you can see there, is completely level. It's on the same level as the running rails. In reality, Hoo Junction is slightly elevated, and the lines from the junction down to the main line are on a gradient. So the fact that Hoo Junction is on the complete level there with the main line, I don't like that particular fact on the route. Okay, so the one thing I should have done coming across that junction, which I didn't do, was set our train length indicator. But I'll show you that when we get up to Dartford. So assuming the back of the train is clear, which it should be, we're going to start notching up the power. And what we do is we need to make sure we pause for about a second or half a second in each notch. We don't go from idle straight up. We're just pausing for a second or two. Second, half a second, as long as we pause in each notch as we bring it up. Also watching our ammeter as it comes up as well there. We want to keep the ammeter between somewhere between 6 and 7 is okay. In the green is ideal. If it's sort of between 7 and 8, you want to be taking the power off. Yeah, really enjoying the sounds on this at the moment. So it's differential speed all along this section of route. For us, we're allowed to do 45 miles an hour. Our next speed limit will be up before Gravesend. Before Gravesend, we'll drop down to 40, and then through Gravesend itself, we'll be down to 30. We got a whistle board there, guys. Perfect opportunity. Yeah, I'm up to, you can't see the frame rate counter on your screen, but I'm up to 82 FPS, so the game is pretty well optimised at the moment from my point of view. Like I say, I am playing on quite a beefy computer, but I have got all the settings maxed out. So yeah, the performance at my end, from my perspective, is pretty good. One of the other nice features that you've now got on here, and I know this because I helped to implement it, is the EM2000 screen. So if you now look at the EM2000 screen, you can go into data meters, and then you'll get your locomotive power data up there. This is a screen we tend to have up when we're driving the locomotives. It gives you really useful information such as your current throttle position up there, what the governor on the engine is requiring. You've also got your speed, your engine revs per minute, and the horsepower that the locomotive is currently generating. That's probably a little bit high. You probably only get about 3,076, somewhere around there, so that's probably a little bit too high in reality. But yeah, still a really nice touch that you've got all that on there and you've got all that data. And as we take the power back as well, you'll see the engine RPM starting to come back and the horsepower starting to come back. And that is all taken from real world data. We have a new subscriber, that train guy. This is a pre-recorded video, but I am using my streaming software, so that's why that has come up. Apologies in advance. So from a performance perspective, I think the train's pulling really nicely. It's performing as I would expect it to. So what we want to do on a freight train is once our first opportunity after taking over the train at a minimum speed of 30 miles an hour is we want to carry out a running brake test. So when we've reached 30 or above at the first suitable opportunity, we want to be taking the power back. As you can see, I'm doing that one notch at a time there. We pause in notch 1 and wait for the amps to come right down before we shut it off completely. There we go. And we're going to apply a little bit of brake. So we're just going to push the brake into initial. And we want to observe the train speed drop by about 10 miles an hour. And this is just checking that the brakes on the train are actually working. And as the driver, it allows us to get a little bit of feel for how the brakes are going to perform. So 33, we're going to release the brakes there. What we need to remember on a freight train is that the brakes do take a little bit of time to release and a little bit of time to apply. So although I've released at 33 for a 30, I've actually come down to 28. So now our brakes are fully released. We know that because the airflow indicator has gone back. We're going to start getting the power back in. Again, one notch at a time, pausing in each notch. We're good for 40 and then down for 30 through Gravesend. Looks like we're getting a little bit of rain as well going on, guys. Be interesting to see if we get a little bit of wheel slip. Let's see what happens. So we'll look at getting those windscreen wipers turned on. It doesn't look like we need to get the windscreen wipers turned on. Okay, so I know this is one of the things that the devs are completely and utterly aware of. There's currently no raindrop effect on the 66. You can see the rain's coming down. We're not getting any splash on the windscreens. The devs are very much aware of that. That is something that is going to be fixed. The 465, 395 and 375 all have it. Yeah, we've got a 30 coming up, so we're just going to start winding the power back there rather than having to use our brakes. Start throttling back for the 30. Yeah, the other locomotives unions do have it on the route. This one doesn't, unfortunately. That is something the devs are aware of, and it is something that hopefully they're going to get fixed. We'll put them on anyway, just so you can kind of hear what it sounds like. No darkness in the tunnel there. Have I got my cab lights turned on? I haven't, so I'm not sure what's going on there either. So our speed is starting to creep up a little bit. Not too much at the moment. We will just drop a little bit of brake in there, so we can drop the brake into initial and then release it again just to trim a little bit of speed off. So here's where we can use the train length indicator. We're going from a 30 mile an hour back up to a 45 as we pass the javelin. So what we're going to do is we're going to press and hold the train length button. So the long beep tells us it's been armed. As soon as we go past the speed board, short press on it, we get a little beep which tells us it's running, and now you can see that it's counting down nicely. our speed is picking up. In real life through Gravesend, your speed doesn't pick up. You tend to lose speed because of the curve. And the beep there to tell us that we are clear. So good for 45. We'll start notching up nice and slowly. Thing to remember on a freight train, guys, is nothing happens quickly. It takes a long time for the brakes to apply, it takes a long time for them to release, it takes a long time for the power to come in. For example, from me going up through the power notches from idle to notch 8, obviously you need to go up notch by notch, but it can take 40 seconds for the engine to actually develop full power. So if you're going up a hill and you don't get that power in soon enough, you can lose quite a lot of speed. There we go, we've got a little bit of slipping going on. Lost the audio for a second there as well. Open the window and we get it nice and loud. Let's close that up so we can hear what we're doing. So the other thing you want to be doing when you're driving a freight train is you don't really do on passenger trains, is regularly sticking your head out the window and looking back down the length of your train. So obviously we can't do that here, but we can cut to external views. And what you're doing when you're actually driving a freight train, looking down the back of the train, is you're just checking that all the wagons are there, that they're following you. You're checking you haven't got smoke pouring off of them, hot axle boxes, dragging brakes, that sort of thing. So yeah, just kind of sticking your head out and checking the train. Ideally, you want to do that on the left-hand bend, sticking your head out the driver's window on the left-hand bend so you can see right to the back of the train. So we're now approaching Springhead Road Junction. 60 mile an hour round to the left takes us down to Ebbsfleet and onto the high-speed lines. We are going to carry on through Northfleet, Swanscombe, Greenhithe, Stone Crossing and eventually into Dartford. So coming in towards Northfleet Station now, the line levels out. We have another new subscriber who has made it onto the video, Bus Driver Mouse, welcome to Dadrail. Yeah, line levels out as we come through Northfleet here, and then we start climbing again up towards Swanscombe. We go over top of the high-speed lines in a minute. We're talking about doing look-backs. In real life, this is where I do my look-back as I come across the bridge here. Nice sweeping left-hand curve, and you can normally see right to the back of the train. Nice view out there across the high speed as we come across. And the fantastic, and it is fantastic, the 465, which is really, really nice to drive on here. So the line is climbing now all the way up to the overbridge. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to shut off the power completely. So we're climbing up, we're going to lose a bit of speed, but once we reach the top of the hill we start going down, so then we gain it all again. So what we're trying to do is let the train take the strain almost. We don't want to be working too hard, we don't want to be applying the brakes, using too much power. We're driving in an economical way, nice smooth drive, and we're letting the train take the strain. So if you are enjoying this video, guys, it'd be absolutely brilliant if you could hit that like button and also consider subscribing to the Dadrail channel for more content like this. If you're interested in train driving and that sort of thing, then I've got a train driver vlog series on the channel which might interest you. Or if you just like your train sim videos, then I do regular train sim live streams as well. So the speed hasn't reduced there as much as it would have done in reality. In reality, I would have lost probably 5 or 6 miles an hour coming up there. You can sort of see here as we approach the signal, we start dropping down. Yeah, so we didn't really lose as much speed there as what I would have expected to. So we're just going to drop the brakes into initial. We're just going to reduce the speed down to about 40. So I'm going to release that at about 43 miles an hour. Nice and dark in the cab now. I don't have my instrument lights on. Yes, I'm releasing the brake at 43 miles an hour. By the time that actually releases, we should be doing about 40. As we come through Greenhive. Nope, speed didn't drop down as much as I was expecting. So, right, instrument lights, we'll pop those on. And we are downhill into Stone Crossing. Stone Crossing is kind of in a valley. You approach it downhill in both directions. So it probably sounds like I'm being really, really critical of the 66, guys, and I'm not, because this is a vast improvement over what the 66 was in Train Sim World 2. I mean, the route looks absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. The lighting is superb. The dynamic weather, really liking that. I'm being very precise in sort of the way I'm telling you to drive it and the way I would normally drive it with the gradients and stuff. And to be honest, it would, for a developer to have gone to that much detail and found that much information out, I think it's probably, my expectations and where I'm pitching it are probably to an unrealistic level, if I'm being honest with you. So yeah, coming through Stone Crossing, we start climbing up to Dartford, we're getting a bit of power in. I think in terms of the way the train accelerates and brakes, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's really great to have the working train length indicator. Love the EM2000 screen working there. That's really nice. Love the new sounds on this as well. Much better on the new sounds. For Train Sim World 2, I wouldn't even touch the 66. It was atrocious. This is very, very playable now, and it's enjoyable. And it feels real to drive. I can kind of feel the weight of the train. I can feel the weight of the train as I'm accelerating, as I'm braking, which is what I would expect in reality. So there's our 40. Again, taking the power down nice and slowly, one step at a time. Pausing in one, we're going to wait till those amps fall all the way off before we shut it off completely. And we're off. There's a 40. So we're going to start descending now towards Dartford. We've got a 20 mile an hour speed restriction just before Dartford. Letting the train take the strain. It's my favourite saying. I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, also guys, if you're into your trains and your train sims and you want to talk about train driving, aviation, transport or anything like that in general, we do have a Discord server as well that you're welcome to join, and there is a link to that in the description below. You're also welcome to follow me on my social media channels, which are on the screen for you right now. Nothing like a bit of self-promotion, is there? So 2 yellows there, we got the 20 coming up, we're going to drop the brakes into initial. The signal we're now approaching is often red. If this signal's red, you're on a downhill gradient coming towards it. You want to be getting hold of the train quite early. So we're 1 yellow, platform 2. The 20 actually begins at the point work just before the station, so not the set of points we're coming towards now, the next set of points. The 20 on the right there isn't ours, that's for trains travelling on the right hand track that have done a shunt move or a reverse move. Our 20 board's just approaching now. So we've had the brakes in initial all the way down. We're going to release that just there. The back of the train is still going to be pushing us down the hill, so if we lose a little bit more speed, if we drop below 20, it's not really an issue. We're also heading towards a red signal as we come into Dartford. So driving a freight train, you want to aim to be doing no more than 10 miles an hour over the AWS magnet. It looks like I'm going to be well over that, which is really bad driving on my part. No, that was the AWS magnet for the signal in the opposite direction. And we're just remembering there as well, guys, that the brakes do take a little while to charge up, so we're releasing that brake. We don't want to come to a stand over the AWS magnet. That would be a really bad thing to do. And I've realised I've just missed the stopping point. It wanted me to stop way back there. As long as we stop before the signal, we're all good. And none of our passengers have umbrellas up as well. So I wonder if that's a problem with the 66, or it's not raining hard enough yet. They're hardy in Dartford in Kent. So there we go, guys. Yeah, 23 minutes 24, 10.35 miles, and we walked 1 yard in that. So yeah, a little bit of speed in there, but not too bad. And yeah, the stop accuracy at the end was way off because I was kind of expecting to go right up to the end of the platform. So we jumped back into free roam quickly. Lovely networker coming towards us there. Yeah, so when we stop the train, what we want to do, I've got no brakes in there at all at the moment. As you can see, we're starting to move forward. So we'll put the train brake back on, and what we want to do is apply the straight air brake fully as well. Into neutral. There are no DRAs, driver reminder appliances, on Class 66s, so you don't need to worry about that. We're stopping at a red signal, into neutral, and direct brake fully applied. So what we're going to pretend now is that another driver's taking this service over. So make sure you got your hard hat or your bump cap on. Make sure you got your gloves on as well, because these railings here get very, very dirty. People of Kent have now decided to start putting their umbrellas up, which is lovely. And there we have a very bright and rainy 66. So I'll be very interested to hear what you think, guys. I am personally very much a fan of the way this game looks. I think there's a few bugs in it, like we said with the raindrops on the 66 windscreen. What's going on? No! Right, I assume the AI is taking my train as the signals come off. I don't think the AI has taken the loco brake off. And we've got lights on there between the loco and the wagons as well, which I probably should have checked when I got on the train. So there it goes, squeaking away. Yeah, so like I say, guys, I'm a big fan of the way this looks. There's a couple of little bugs in it. Things that are going to be ironed out, things that they already know about, so, but nothing that's a deal breaker. The performance of the train is much, much better than it was in Train Sim World 2. It handles really nicely, it sounds really nicely, and it's actually an enjoyable drive. So, something a little bit different to doing passenger trains. Get in the 66, master the brakes in goods timings, in pass timings, try driving it with different loads, and enjoy it. So there we go, guys. I do hope you've enjoyed this little video in the Class 66. I'm going to be doing lots of Train Sim World free live streams on the channel over the next few weeks, so do tune into those. To find out when they are, join the Discord server. That's the easiest way. Or check out my social media channels, which I will put on the screen for you right now. I'd like to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon supporters. Everything you do for me is very, very much appreciated, guys. And if you want to find out more about that, you can visit patreon.com/dadrail. All that remains for me to do is to thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to Dadrail. And I shall see you in the next video or next live stream. Great to see you there, and thank you very much for watching.